Good evening and welcome to the July 19th Rutherford County School Board meeting. A little less audience tonight, and but we'll continue to work through. Happy to have several of our guests tonight. So, leading our pledge will be Board Member Corey Young. Thank you, Mr. Young. Ms. Michaels, I don't know that we have anybody connected with the system to mention. Okay. Of course, there's plenty going on in the world right now that need our prayers and thoughts. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you join the board in a moment of silence. Thank you. Of course, we met last evening in work session and did most of the heavy lifting last night. But if there's anything new that have a question about or discussion, we'll have that opportunity. Any questions or discussion regarding the agenda? Hearing none. Motion. And Mr. Young and Chairman Hodge. Again, discussion. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Discussion, questions?
Let me make one point. We have added some names to the volunteer coaches. Mr. Tackett received some because we have to do the background checks, fingerprints. There's some more came in. We don't not meet again until about the 18th and 19th of August. So you'll see, is it 4 or 5 additional names on there, right, Ms. Michaels, I think? Yes. So if you'll want to review that, we thought we needed to get them in since it's a while before we meet again.
And they've all been the background checks and the fingerprint.
Right, and we don't put them on until that's done.
Okay.
So that's
Board members, let's take a few seconds to look through the list. Still part of the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Do we need to, you're doing the consent?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Further discussion? Thank you, Mr. Young, Mr. Holliday, and thank you, Ms. Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Michaels, did anybody sign in? No visitors? Mr. Odom, you get to introduce what I have nicknamed the Dream Team. So.
They are a dream team, aren't they? We're really proud tonight to have with us all but one of our new principals tonight. So I'm going to ask them if they'll, y'all want them to kind of come up and stand together?
I would think so.
Let's do that. Come up and stand together. The paper may want to take a picture or something. Let's do that. And you can kind of gather. And if you've got your speech prepared, you can. If you anything like that, that's pressure, isn't it, when you stop?
Yeah.
I think they're listed on the agenda in the order of the school's name, alphabetical order. The first one's Dr. Crystal Hastings. Ms. Hastings, step forward one so you see. And we have stolen her, how many years ago now, from Williamson County? So she As Bennett Christiana Middle School assistant principal, now is the principal. One of the things that she served on some committees early on for us when we're doing bring your own device and some of the technology and the things like that. But we're really glad to have Dr. Hastings with us. And you like music, she does classical piano and the daughter does classical violin. So you might, that's just a little tidbit you may want to know. In that sense. And Laverne Lake Elementary School, Miss Paige Johnson. Miss Johnson was up here as one of our new teacher mentors. Actually worked for me back in instruction, working with our new ones. She actually mentored one of the other principals, I think, when he came here once upon a time, so she must have done a good job, with that. But she's been an assistant at Laverne Lake Elementary. And is excellent, knows her academics, knows good teaching strategies, and also looking forward to her stepping up and accepting this role. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. And Oakland Middle School, Ms. Tori Ruiz. Ms. Ruiz has been before this board more than once, talking about their academy they had at Laverne High School. She's been in Rutherford County for 11 years, I think now, and is be at Oakland Middle School. Again, she is known for her structure, her academics, and her interest in the boys and girls. So we're glad to have Ms. Ruiz to represent us at Oakland Middle School. Thank you, Ms. Ruiz. And she was also 2 years ago the State Assistant Principal of the Year, right? That's what I was thinking. And also from Rock Springs Middle School, Mr. Stephen Wayne, who is for the last few years actually been at Riverdale High School. He's been one of the assistant principals there. He's one of those people when you go sit in their PLC meeting or a leadership meeting, you can tell who is really into it and listening and very involved in it, very dependable. I think Mr. Nolan wasn't really happy to lose a couple on this list, but I know for sure he wasn't happy to lose Mr. Wayne. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Doing that, and the other one will be at a later meeting for us. And Smyrna West Alternative School, Miss Judy Sides. Mr. Estes, I believe you may have worked with this lady at Oakland for a while, and she's been assistant for the last few years at Riverdale High School too. I did call Mr. Nolan when we'd picked up the second one from him to see what he would say or see if he would still speak to me. But I said, when you hire good people and you train them, then they move on. You do not want to hire an assistant principal who's happy to stay where they are. You want people that want to move up, people that are eager to do something, and when you assemble those teams, then this is what happens. But glad to have you at Smyrna West for us, Ms. Sides. Thank you. And Thurman Francis Arts Academy, this is certainly not a new phase to even principalship, Mr. Jeff McCann, who has been at Laverne Lake for the last few years with Miss Johnson there. But I believe the new thing here, this is the first time at the Arts Academy we have somebody that has a background in the arts. Middle school band, music, and all like that. So I know his mind's been spinning the wheels of what can I do now, that's what I know to do this. So I look for some great things there for Thurman Francis Fine Arts Academy. Thank you, Mr. McCann.
Congratulations. Please stand. Does anyone want to speak? You certainly have opportunity. Okay. You'll have plenty about. Again, congratulations and thank you for your service. Number 8.
Number 8 is the committee that Mr. Blair headed up. It's the naming of the new schools in the Smyrna area, which are the Rocky Fork area schools that we're building. A committee was appointed to recommend a name for the new schools in the Smyrna area, Rocky Fork. The committee met on Saturday, July 9th, 2016 at Stewart's Creek Middle School. They discussed different options before reaching a recommendation. Those serving on the committee were Board Chairman Wayne Blair, Commissioner Brad Turner, Commissioner Joe Gurley, Stewart's Creek Middle School Principal LaTony Murray, Bailey Dover, Jeffrey Peach, and Brittany Stevens. Recommend approval. The motion is to name the new schools Rocky Fork Elementary School and Rocky Fork Middle School, with the school colors being Carolina blue and silver. The mascot recommended for the elementary school is Thunder, and the middle school is Storm. When you called me and told me this, one of my thoughts were, what's that mascot going to look at? So I went to the computer, did a Google search. I said, mascot, Thunder and Storm. There are lots.
Yes.
It is enormous a number of what's used across this country for those for mascots. So if you're curious like me, you can go take a look.
Well,
Don't-
and
what
as
it
we
look
were,
like.
as we were discussing the different mascots, and Ms. Michaels, thank you for providing all of the school colors and the school mascots throughout the system. And as we were suggesting, some of the younger members of the group were using their iPhones to look up mascots. So it really worked out well. And I think the colors, they can work with them, and I think the mascots are appropriate too. So we do need to approve this, board.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and
I'll
Ms. Moore? Okay, thank you. Further discussion. It took us about an hour and a half to work through all of the names and the colors and stuff, so. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 9.
Number 9 is our new website content management system. Mr. Duke spoke to this last night. Rutherford County Schools currently uses a content management system for its district-wide website, but each school builds its own website using Adobe Dreamweaver and Adobe Contribute. Adobe is moving its products to a subscription model. It was free, by the way, similar to Microsoft Office, and we must begin paying an annual fee for each license to maintain support for the programs. The current programs are not teacher-friendly because they require users to understand HTML coding. In May, the school district advertised an RFP, request for proposal, for vendors to provide a software platform to move all district websites to one content management system, which would allow teachers and schools to more easily update their websites and give all schools a professional-looking website. In June, a committee comprised of 3 principals, tech coaches, hardware technology coordinator Steve Solomon, instructional technology coordinator Trey Duke, Community Relations Coordinator James Evans, and others evaluated the top 3 proposals for a new CMS system. Edleo was chosen as the best proposal for Rutherford County Schools. The first-year price to implement the system is $41,000, which includes migration of existing content and training for district personnel. The contract can be renewed annually for up to 5 years. The year 2 cost for renewal will be $37,830 pursuant to the terms of the vendor's proposal. The proposal also includes a new mobile app, which I mentioned last night is new for Rutherford County parents to have a mobile app for the district, and new websites will be automatically responsive to mobile devices. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the Edleo proposal to a content management system for Rutherford County Schools websites at a cost of $41,000 for the first year and a renewal option for up to 5 years.
Mr. Estes, thank you.
Second.
And Mr. Holliday, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
You know, I do think parents are really going to like this, and he mentioned last night if we have to have an early closing or we need to get a message out to parents, we can do that. And in the past, we've been dependent upon School Messenger, which is a telephone system. And I remember one fellow called me, when you get a call from the school, your first thought is, my kid's sick. So he rushes out of this meeting to get in, and it's one of our School Messenger messages. So he says, can y'all please come up with a way to text me or email me where I can get the messages and make the decision what I need to do. Idlio will let us do that, okay? Right. So we'll be putting that in place.
We'll take
That's
some
a good,
angst out of
that's a
this.
good move.
Yes, sir.
I know for parents.
Good. Number 10.
Number 10 is under facilities. It's the AIP Energy Consultant Contract. Ron Graham has submitted a proposal to consult with our energy conservation program for the first quarter of the 2016-2017 fiscal year. This would allow Ron to finish up some ongoing projects and to be available for input and consulting on the approximately $2 million worth of automatic controls that will be approved by the Energy Efficient School Initiative this Thursday and installed in 19 more Rutherford County schools. The full proposal is attached under a tab for full review. The cost of this proposal for the consulting is $10,000. Recommend approval. Motion to approve the proposal of AIP Ron Graham in the amount of $10,000 for consultation with Rutherford County Schools Energy Conservation Program for the first quarter of fiscal year 2016-2017.
So move.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Second.
Mr. Holliday. Further discussion? Again, we did most of the heavy lifting last night at the work session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 10B.
10B is now Rocky Fork Middle School Clearing and Grubbing Deductive Change Order. That's an interesting title. The construction people have gone to that. Bomar Construction Company has submitted a deductive change order number 2, in the amount of $7,500 for the clearing and grubbing contract on Rocky Fork Middle School. This reduces the cost of this project from $622,436.75 to $615,936.75. This final transaction completes the contract. So the recommend approval. The motion is to approve a deductive change order number 2, in the amount of negative $7,500 for Rocky Fork Middle School clearing and grubbing as presented.
I think we had a tie. Ms. Joyce, you can pick. Okay, Chairman Hodge and Mr. Young. Okay. Y'all were both out of the gate pretty quick, so. Always appreciate the return to the budget, Mr. Clardy. So again, congratulations. That's good work. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 10C.
10C is funding for automatic control systems from Energy Efficient School Initiative. Funding to place automated control systems on HVAC units in 19 Rutherford County schools and changing gym lighting from metal halide to LED at Rockville Middle School and Rock Springs Elementary School has been procured through the Energy Efficient School Initiative, totaling $2,137,047. These funds are loan proceeds and are allocated to Rutherford County schools with a .0075 or 0.75% administrative fee. These project paybacks range from 0.7 to 7 years. This loan will be paid off through energy savings. Recommend approval of the motion to approve a loan from Energy Efficient School Initiative in the amount of $2,137,047 at a .0075% administrative fee. The proceeds will be used to fund automatic control system at 19 schools and 2 gymnasium lighting projects as presented. We did learn this afternoon that LED, just studying this some more, LED, the wattage is reduced by half. So if you have a 400 watt metal halide or a 600 watt metal halide in that gym, when we go to LED, you're going to use half the wattage. And so that's where your recovery comes in. Franklin Special School District over in Williamson County is about to change their whole district out to LED lighting. It will be the future, so at some time in the future, you'll be hearing more about this.
Yes, sir. We have a recommendation.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Holliday. And Mr. Estes, thank you. Discussion.
I'll just say that particularly in these gymnasium circumstances, sometimes you want to turn the lights off, turn the lights back on, and the LED gives you that instant on also, as opposed to the metal halide has that warm-up time and those kind of things. And so the benefits are just multiplied.
bulb life can be 20 years. Which we don't get 20 years out of. If you've got fluorescent bulbs at home, you know you have to climb up there somewhere and change them. So you've got projected life of right at 20 years with a LED.
We'd sure like to find a chiller that would give us 20. Marty? Yes, sir. Okay, point well taken. Okay, we have a motion and a second, no further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 11.
Number 11, under Financial Matters. This is the VALIC 403B and the 457B supplemental retirement plans. On March 17, 2016, the board voted to change Rutherford County Schools 403B and 457B plans from VALIC's annuity platform to their mutual fund platform effective September 1, 2016. As we got into the procedural changes for this switchover, it became clear that we could not make this change under the terms of our existing contract with VALIC. VALIC has offered to amend our current contract and reduce the fees for our employees paid by 20 basis points or 0.20%. This change would save our employees about $19,500 per year in fees. With this amendment, there will be no need for our employees to make any changes to the VALIC 403B and or the 457B accounts. VALIC has been our ongoing 403B and now 457B provider since September 2008. Our participating employees and former employees have over $14 million in their accounts as of June 30, 2016. And this will require two motions. The first motion is recommend approval. The motion to rescind the board's vote on March 17, 2016 to move Rutherford County Schools 403B and 457B plans to VALIC's mutual fund platform effective on September the 1st, 2016. The second motion is to approve the amendment to the contract for the VALIC 403B and 457B plans, which reduces the fees our participating employees pay by 20 basis points.
Ms. Michaels, can we vote on both of them at the same time? Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Young. And thank you, Mr. Estes. We discussed this some last night. Mr. Sandvig, kudos to you for this benefit for the employees. That's a lot of money in those programs, and that's a substantial savings to them. So thank you. I don't know that you'll get very many thank you notes, but maybe you will. But again, thank you for looking after the best interest of the people that are serving our children. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 11B.
Financial Matters B, General Purpose School 2016-2017 Budget Amendments. This is the amendment to move software to the final state accounts. Now, it's line items in our budget for people that may be listening. This amendment reallocates $4,854,683 in already budgeted software and other technology budgeted expenditures to the specific function object code combinations the State Department of Education has asked us to use beginning with the 2016-2017 year. At the time the budget was approved, the list of approved function object code combinations had not been released. Recommend approval. The motion is to amend $4,854,683 in already budgeted software and other technology budgeted expenditures to the specific function object code combinations the State Department of Education has asked us to use beginning with the 2016-2017 year as presented. For people that's listening to us tonight or be listening on maybe YouTube playback, this is not new monies. The state requires us, they have decided this year, which I really do like, they're taking the technology funds and putting it in specific line items. It has been somewhat embedded in other areas of the budget in the past. So this will let us track and commissions see and everybody see exactly where this monies are going. So it's a good move, but we have to align our line items up with the required state line items. So This is just a move of line items for accounting purposes.
It gives us another level of transparency.
It does, very much so.
For the recommendation,
Move for approval.
thank you, Mr. Holliday
Second.
and Ms. Moore. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 2.
2 is the unassigned fund balance transfer to the building program. This amendment transfers $11 million from the general purpose school fund unassigned fund balance to the school building program fund 189. $5,501,000 of this transfer will cover the needed increases in the construction budget for Rocky Fork Middle School. The bids for Rocky Fork Middle School were opened on June 28, 2016, and that evening, the school board awarded a contract to R.G. Anderson for a total of $34,287,000. In order to meet the planned August 2017 opening date for the school, a purchase order for site development was issued. The $5,499,000 balance of this transfer will be used for later elementary projects. The county would have to borrow approximately $12,900,000 in order to net out $11 million of elementary school construction funds. This $11 million is available due to unbudgeted growth in 2015, 2016 local revenues, our BEP growth funds, and savings in budgeted medical insurance. Recommend approval. The motion is to amend a transfer of $11 million from the general purpose school fund unassigned fund balance to the school building program fund 189, with $5,501,000 of the transfer used to cover the needed increase in the construction budget for Rocky Fork Middle School, and $5,499,000 balance of this transfer to be used for latter elementary projects as presented.
For the recommendation, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hodge
Second.
and Mr. Jordan. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, Ms. Barnes, we meet next month, correct? Okay. So you'll have a report next month from the next insurance meeting. Chairman Hodge, I think you had a handout for us. Okay. Of course, Chairman Hodge is our Tennessee legislative representative. As you peruse through this, any questions for Chairman Hodge? This will be another busy legislative year. I think those that are not supportive of public education will come out in high fashion and spending a lot of money. So it'll certainly take all hands on deck and our due diligence to beat back that trend. So again,
Something interestingly ironic, maybe, is I think this is 9 pages long. I think the governor's proposed bills for education was like 4 or 5. So you can tell that the legislators creatively added a whole lot of other bills because there are many to each page, 7 or 8 on each page of these that were actually introduced by legislators. So that's why you see the length of it past this year.
and the one that I guess what I find disturbing is the caption bills where they'll have something, that may be talking about pavement, and then because it's attached to that title, education title program, they can come in at any time and delete that caption and insert whatever they want. And I find that a little odd way of doing, not a good way to do business, but it is what it is. So, again, thank you, Chairman Hodge. And Mr. Holliday, anything through Congress lately?
We keep an eye on things, but this past several weeks, we've been kind of quiet on education.
Good.
We're okay.
Thank you for your perspective and watching after that. We're now to general discussion by board members. Does anybody have anything?
We had one thing happen today, if it's okay with the board, I'll yield to Mr. Zago, because we had every elementary principal, assistant principal, RTI coaches, and lead teachers in schools in a training today. You want to kind of summarize that quickly for them, if you don't mind?
If you can get to a microphone, Mr. Zago, or if you want to come to the podium,
You'd find it interesting.
why don't you just come to the podium? You haven't done that in a while, so.
We were excited to have Corwin Company with the John Hattie research. He does a meta-analysis of all of the educational research that takes place across the world. Actually, he was born in Australia, but he's a Canadian citizen, but does most of his work here in the United States. And what that meta-analysis is he brings in literally thousands and thousands of dissertations, doctoral research from all over the United States, combines that research, and then provides in his books what are best practices. And the focus is not on what the teacher or a teacher, but on the effect of the teacher, which is the great part of his information. And he says that the majority of students in an average year will receive 0.40 growth in one school year. And that's what the average student receives. And based on that, he has 150 things that teachers do, or schools does, or school systems do, that affect students either more or less than that 0.4. And we had that group of teachers and leaders in the buildings today. We had about 185 of those together to learn about these things. Just a little brief note about those 150 items that take place within the schools. The great thing is 95% of them are positive. We only do about 5% of things across the United States that don't have a positive effect, and most of those are not things within our control. For example, student mobility. Student mobility is the poorest thing that happens to a student in the course of its educational career. And that's if a student moves from one school to another and then back, or various systems or various states, it has a very detrimental effect on that student. Well, the great thing that we're learning through this process, and it's just one example and I'll stop after that, is he has 5 different things he's found during his research that will mitigate that effect. So we could cause that to happen within 48 hours of the student being received at a school. For example, if Mr. Estes was principal of a school and I was a new student and I'd been at 2 or 3 different schools and I came in, registered, one of the things that he could do was assign another student. For example, Mr. Young would be another student in the school to me that knows the school within 48 hours and shadow me. That way I've got a friend, I've got someone that's giving me the ins and outs of the ropes, plus telling me about what my teacher's expectations are, school expectations, and all of a sudden I've got a connection to the school. Therefore, that I have that connection to the school, I could actually sit down and start thinking about learning. And that's one of the things that we do, one of the 4 or 5 things. It's very exciting to see this happen in front of all of our teachers and leaders in our buildings and learn these different things.
Thank you. Anybody? Thank you, Mr. Zago.
Yes, sir.
One of the ladies that was there today came up to me and she said, I'm a state trainer and I've been going all over the state and I'm meeting teachers from everywhere. She said, my conclusion in Rutherford County is the best school district in the state. She said, when we talk about things that we've been doing, or she's teaching something that the state's rolling out, these other people have never heard of it or seen it before. So we invest in our people. I said today, I just took a couple of minutes to talk to our administrators and all today. When you look at John Hattie's analysis, if a 0.4 effect gains for a year in school, a year's growth academically, you want to make sure the things you do are the things that are 0.4 or higher if you can. And so when we do an evaluation on a teacher, a couple of things is feedback in the team model. One of them is we have something called a reinforcement. So if you as a principal see your teacher doing one of these high effect things, make sure that you identify to that teacher, hey, you just did something that produces more than a year's gain for the kids in your classroom. You know, please keep doing that. Teachers want to please us as administrators and want to be effective. So by training our people to recognize those things better, we can give better reinforcement when teachers do it. The other thing that they have to do is called a refinement piece. What is it? What would make you better as a teacher? So if we're going to make refinement suggestions to teacher, doesn't it make sense to make a refinement suggestion that produces more effect? So by learning those, then that we think this lesson could have been better, maybe if you had added this. So there's actually going to be 3 sessions, one today. There's a couple more one in September, August.
We have an August and a September date as well, or
Right.
follow-ups. Now, all of our schools are leaving with additional work to do, bring back. It's one of the follow-up trainings, which is very nice. It's not a one and done session. I don't want to stop without saying what the number one thing is, and you guys probably can guess. It's teachers working collaboratively together.
It happens to be a PLC.
It actually has a 1.57 effect, which is, basically 4 times greater than 1 year's growth. It's basically equivalent to when your team of teachers work together, it's 4 years worth of growth for those students.
That supports your statement that you made several times, Mr. Holliday, about Rutherford County, so.
It does, and I struggle with the appropriateness because, we don't want to use our position here in the Board of Education, for political gain, but everyone's aware that I'm running for state representative, and it just makes sense that the things that we're doing in Rutherford County, I just want to scream from the rafters, that the things that we're doing in Rutherford County should be the example that we're using in our state legislature, as opposed to trying to follow some out-of-state concept that is unproven and head in that direction in order to fix something elsewhere. We have wisdom right here in Rutherford County, and it's got to make it to Nashville. It's just critically important. I think to myself as I hear these things, I don't ever want to miss another school board meeting. I don't care what position I happen to be holding, because the inspiration for the state of Tennessee is coming out of this room.
We are in the Mid-Cumberland area, which they cluster school districts around the state in areas. Upper Cumberland, we're in Mid-Cumberland. Today, I look over there, and the South Central state leader is in this training.
Yeah.
To see what's being done, so.
He actually called us a.
And they said, may I come?
That's very cool. I went by, did a drive-by John Coleman today, and Mr. Clardy, I am just so very impressed with how they've come along, and was very pleased that I have an office job, that I was not out in this heat today, like those professionals on the job site. But I guess I was caught a little off guard at how large this facility actually is. So if you would, Mr. Clardy, at our next board meeting, would you bring some updated photos for the board and the audience of not only John Coleman, but also Roy Waldron, if you would? I think the board would enjoy seeing those.
I think Mr. Lee and Ms. Haley have a tentative date for the opening out there and the ceremony, and then we're working on one for Roy Waldron right now, so I'll have that.
Getting the students and personnel in and out will certainly be a challenge. I know they'll meet that challenge, but I'm certainly glad that I don't have to make those decisions. So, but they'll be pleased when they get to move into their new facility.
It's the size of our regular elementary school.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very, very attractive too. So, very pleased with that. Anybody else?
Just a couple of things, Mr. Chairman, and to tag on just a little bit about what Mr. Holliday said. I think that the state legislature is counting and planning on the folks that promote public education to get tired of fighting this battle every year on vouchers and charter schools. And I'd like to encourage these 6 outstanding new principals to encourage their faculties and themselves. Get to know your legislators, whoever they may be, and do your very best to promote public education. I'm sure that you will be doing that. Also, another thing, just to review from an old man, all right? A few years ago, we started another trend, as if we needed another trend, in education called No Child Left Behind. Billions of dollars spent nationwide, driving some of the people in this room absolutely crazy trying to meet it. It's dead as a doornail. Lesson learned somewhere by somebody, surely. Other thing, on a much more positive note, this board and this terrific staff that we have here, we have heard people from virtually every high school in this county over just the 2 years that I've been here, certainly, and many of you have heard a lot more than that, address this board, students from on every conceivable subject. And just recently, we've had a group that did the Jungle Book for us, from Roy Walden. And then we heard them again. You and I did, at least, and Mr. Blair in Laverne fairly recently. And we had the choir. And we've had artists. We had choir was from Whitworth Buchanan, I believe. Isn't that right? I believe. They had them at Christmas. Isn't that correct? Whitworth Buchanan choir was here? And they were absolutely sensational. We had artists from every school. And we've had state champions from just about every school in numerous sports. And up to last night, where we had students from 2 or 3 different schools address us, man, was I impressed. Terrific.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Yes. We're blessed with outstanding students and outstanding educators and staff members and a really good central office staff too. So thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Michaels, we meet again? August 18th. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. No, Chairman Hodge.
I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Wilson out here on his, going to law school. So he's going to be leaving us. I can't remember if this was your last meeting or.
Yes, sir.
This is your last meeting.
Yes, sir.
From my perspective as a board member, I just want you to know I appreciate the job that you've done on behalf of the school system.
You're here.
You've been a great force for us.
From our perspective, you've been the consummate professional. So thank you, Mr. Wilson. Thank you, Chairman Hodge. Anybody else? Weather this heat. I think it's going to be even hotter the next 2 or 3 days. So, be cool and be safe. Nothing else. Again, congratulations to our new administrators, and we have confidence and trust you'll do very, very well. We stand adjourned.